Welcome back to Chuck Builds. We are in our series of hosting a website on a virtual private server. We have a little bit of a flair for this for an organization, but if you're doing this yourself and following along in Docker, it'll work just fine. Now, it is very important that you've watched the other videos before this. There is a lot that won't make sense if you are not currently up to speed on this video series. If you have just found this video, please check out the rest of the series to understand what's going on. At this time, we have all of our Docker containers running on the Hetzner virtual private server. We are currently accessing our containers over the internet with a secure HTTPS connection, and we're going to type /ghost at the end of our domain. This /ghost takes you to the admin portal, or like the admin page for the Ghost blog. This is where you're going to be making all of your posts, and this is where we're going to be really changing all of the website. So here on the website, we can choose our site title. This will be what shows up on Google. And then your full name. This is going to be the name of the account that you're logged into. And when you publish a post, it's going to have that name published publicly. So if you're trying to do this on behalf of an organization, I would recommend that you create it with the organization name and then that admin email we talked about in video number 2. For this one, I'm going to do Chuck Builds, because that's fine. And then the email address, I'm going to do the admin at chuckbuildsawebsite.com. This is going to be the owner account. So that's going to be where all the settings are to change the website, to change the design, to change how things look. So you really want this to be the admin account, and you can change the password in the future. If you want to share it with somebody, you'll have to share the password with them, which I do not recommend. You can add staff members. But I would also maybe consider, if you're going to be in charge of this for a little while, making an admin account and then making your own account and then giving it administrator privileges. We'll talk about that briefly, but in the context of an organization, I want us to remember how this is going to live on without you. The owner of this website, where all the settings are, what's going to show up when you post is going to be kind of reliant on that. And I'm going to give you an example of if I make a post as a staff member in your organization and it's going to have my full name, and let's say there's an event coming up. My full name published a post about a fundraiser coming up. You might, as that editor, want to change it from my name to the organization, saying the neighborhood association or the nonprofit has a fundraiser coming up, not an individual person's name being attached to that. I hope that makes sense. So we'll click Get Started. We'll save the password, and we have this little Getting Started page. So Ghost is great. I want to cover that first. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can change the code of the website. You can click and drag some stuff, and they're always adding features. Keep an eye on this bottom left-hand corner for the what's new when you update these containers to see what's new to the container. Additionally, you have the Let's Get Started, and I would recommend that you go through this. I think they're going to explain how a lot of things work, and I haven't actually gone through this before, but we can change our colors and we can see how things look, change our buttons and change our cover to whatever you want. They have built-in images to choose from Unsplash. I didn't mean to use it that way. You can quickly change how this works. And it's kind of easy. It's easy for anybody to come in and do that, and I think that's awesome. Exploring the editor, it's how you make a post. You got your header here. You got your feature image. Use this one. Test. You can use this plus to add all of your stuff. This is what's only going to be showed in an email. This is going to be how we can add images. I'll go into more detail on how to use this better in a later video, but what's important is that we have a draft. So I'm going to go back to posts here and go back. And then we're going to go to the gear in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, if you have staff, this is where you would add them. But right now, we just have the owner profile, so I have a lot more settings on the side. Your staff won't have these. But what's really important is we go down to our Mailgun settings, and we can see that Mailgun is not set up. So we'll go to Edit. We'll have our region as the US, and then we need to get our API key in our domain. Now we remember we had created the domain mg.yourdomain or chuckbuildsawebsite.com, And we can click this link here to pull up straight to the API section of Mailgun. So we'll click Create an API Key, and then Ghost Newsletter API Key. We'll click Create Key. And we're going to only see this code once. So you want to copy it, or click the button to copy. And then we're going to go back to our Ghost admin page and paste it here. And we'll click Save. And so Mailgun should now be set up. So what does that mean that Mailgun is set up? We're going to go to our drafts and click on that test draft that we just created. We'll go to Preview, and then we'll go to Send an Email. And we can send a test email, and we can send it to our admin email address. And we'll click Send, and we'll get the message sent. So if you go check your email inbox for that account, you will get the test email. This means that your newsletter API is working, and that's how it's going to send out the newsletter for a lot of people. That was one half of how Ghost sends emails. If you remember, we also had an SMTP as well. So if you go to the website and then decide that you want to sign up for your website, you'd go to Sign In and then click the Sign Up link. I don't know why it shows yellow. That's awful. But we will choose to register and click Sign Up. And it's going to send us an email. And we can see we received that email as well. And you'd click this link to finish your sign-in process. So at this time, Ghost is working. We're all set up. It's secure. We have our newsletters dialed in and working. I wouldn't say we're done yet. So next, we're going to go to formbricks.chuckbuildsawebsite.com. We'll click Get Started. And then we're going to create an administrator. So again, this is a good time to consider what email you're using, especially for an organization. I'm going to be using admin@chuckbuildsawebsite.com. And when we submit that, it says, please confirm your email address. At this time, you should have received an email from your Mailgun instance to verify your email address. If you did not, we need to double check our SMTP credentials inside of Portainer. Now, if you do this in Portainer, you might remember that we turned off the port for Portainer. So you'll need to add back that 9443 port to your Hetzner firewall, but it worked for me right away. So I can grab the link and it'll verify my account. So for this organization, you'll name it. And then you can invite members, you can invite staff. And that's important so that you can have other people helping and using this as well. It's not just you. So we have the admin email address to own it, to totally control it, but then you'll add staff members to help you make forms and see the responses and do all that. So we have the admin email address to totally own it and control it. And then you'll add staff members or organization members through that to help you create forms and then see the responses of forms. It doesn't have to be the admin account. I would not plan on sharing that password with your other board members. Add them here, and then at the end of the term, at the end of their volunteer board membership, whenever they leave the organization, you would delete them from here. We'll click Skip. So when you connect to FormBricks, it's going to ask you if you're doing a website, an app, or a link and email surveys. We should start with a website, but we can also do link and email surveys later. I don't have an app, so I don't plan on using the center one. But for the configuration aspect of this, let's start with a public website. And then we'll do Other. And we're going to choose a name. Could be your organization name. It could be a specific event that you have. I would plan for the website to kind of say that it's the website and somewhere in the name, but it's not a huge deal and you can change it later because we're going to get this code. We're going to get this HTML to insert this code into the head tag of your website. So we're going to copy this code. We're going to go back to our Chuck Built a Website admin page, come down to the gear, scroll all the way down to code injection, click on open, and then make sure we're on this site header and we'll paste it here and we'll click save. So once that's in there, it's going to respond to our FormBricks. It's going to send a signal that it's there, but only when it gets loaded. And to force that, you can refresh your home page of the website where it's going to load that code. And FormBricks is going to say connection successful. So we click finish onboarding, and this is your survey page. You can create more products right here. You can add a product. Here's one for a link if I wanted to paste a link onto my website. And then down here is my organization and account name. And we can see our website is connected up here. And so we have options to create a survey. I'm going to get into this later when I talk about how to use Ghost. We're just getting everything set up right now. All right, while recording, I realized I missed a step, so I'm just going to inject this in here. We are now at N8N, which was the other container we installed at yourdomain.com. And when you type that in, it'll pull up this setup page, and we're creating an owner account. As I've been saying in the other videos, the email we're going to use is going to be an admin email. So admin@domain.com for you. For me, it's going to be chuck@chuckbuilds.com. You're going to put a name, first name, last name, and then I'm just going to generate a password and get this set up. And so what N8N is going to be flow-based kind of like workflows or automations to do things automatically. I'm gonna have to make a whole separate video on that because it does get kind of complicated, but we can just fill out this quick questionnaire saying we're not using N8N for work, and you heard about it through me on YouTube. We'll say getting started. I really just wanted to cover for the setup that we had an account login, that no one else can get to this and set up a owner account that's not you, but I'll have a whole separate video for how we can set up a flow later. Just wanted to get this step kind of secured by creating the account to log in. There's going to be a whole other video on how to use this later, and we'll keep it going. So at this time, we are done with our setup. We have bought a virtual private server. We have set up Docker and Portainer. We have installed 6 containers. We have set up a reverse proxy. We have hosted the Ghost container, a MySQL container, a Postgres container, FormBricks N8N file browser, got everything set up and everything is working. We can go to our Hetzner and double check that our firewall is just going to Caddy and that we have no other firewalls exposing our server. We can go to Mailgun and we can see how many emails we've sent for creating an account or registering a password for FormBricks or for our website. At this point, we're done with the websites. I'll have a couple more videos with some additional features, how to customize and how to edit the files. But at this point, you're up and running and you're good to go.